Mr. Speaker, we can look at the content, but if the ban is unnecessary, then why is it that they've started a review? Just last week, his Education Secretary called a ban a bit gimmick, yet teachers and head teachers say the evidence already shows that schools that ban phones get better results. And he's wrong. Not all schools do this. Only 1 in 10 schools are smartphone free. So will he U-turn on this?
We need to ensure that all schools do this, but the vast majority do.
No one ever imagined Keir Starmer would ridicule himself like that, publicly mocked in Parliament. Kemi Badenoch cornered him, leaving him unsure how to respond. He appeared lost and hesitant, struggling to find words to avoid humiliation. The instant he began to speak, the whole chamber burst into laughter, drowning out his voice. But what sparked this uproar? How did Kemi Badenoch expose an issue Starmer has been using as a performance to appear concerned? This all revolves around Labour opposing the proposal to ban mobile phones in schools, a policy Starmer had promoted as essential. Yet, he discovered in the harshest way that he was mistaken when Kemi Badenoch completely outclassed him before Parliament. So, what exactly happened? In this video, we'll uncover the full story. Keir Starmer insists he cares about classroom order, students, teachers, and educational quality. However, when presented with a direct, widely supported chance to enhance all three by restricting phones in schools, he not only rejected the idea but dismissed it as utterly pointless.
But first, let's turn to another government minister who is making a mess of her brief, the Education Secretary. Why did Labour MPs vote against banning phones in schools last week?
Prime Minister? Because it's completely unnecessary. I've got teenage children. Almost every school bans phones in school. They do it already. We need to concentrate on what's really important here, which is getting to the content that children shouldn't be accessing. That's where I would genuinely like to work across the House, because I think there's a huge amount of work to do. But the battle is not with schools that are already banning phones in school. The battle, and this is an important emerging battle, is to work together to ensure that we can ensure that the content that children are accessing, wherever they are, is...
And by doing so, Starmer didn't just commit a policy mistake. He revealed the deeper flaw in Labour's thinking about education and discipline. This went far beyond a single vote. It was a clear signal that under Labour, disruption, screen dependency, and classroom disorder would remain unchecked even when the answer is directly before them. The Conservative Party, led in the Commons by Kemi Badenoch, proposed an amendment to the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill that would have compelled every school to prohibit mobile phones during the academic day. It was a decisive national measure to confront a worsening issue in classrooms. Pupils using smartphones during lessons, breaks, and even exams to cheat, harass, access unsuitable material, or simply ignore their teachers. Hear what the Education Secretary had to say about this.
As you say, we are setting out measures in this landmark piece of legislation that will do a lot more to keep children safe. We have failed as a state far too many children for far too long. It's time that we get on an act. No more words, no more lessons learned. It's time to legislate, it's time to act, it's time to protect children, and making sure we've got clear visibility where children are being home educated is one of a number of very important measures that we'll be setting out today to Parliament.
Interestingly, no action was taken. The proposal put forward by the Conservatives was rejected by Labour. Every Labour MP, under Starmer's direction, opposed the amendment. Why? Starmer's public reply, given during Prime Minister's questions, attempted to minimize the matter. That was the moment Kemi Badenoch sharply put him.
Mr. Speaker, we can look at the content, but if the ban is unnecessary, then why is it that they've started a review? Just last week, his Education Secretary called a ban a bit gimmick, yet teachers and head teachers say the evidence already shows that schools that ban phones get better results. And he's wrong. Not all schools do this. Only 1 in 10 schools are smartphone free. So will he U-turn on this?
We need to ensure that all schools do this, but the vast majority do. It is really important that we focus on the battle we have to have with mobile phones, which is the content that children are able to access. And we need to ensure that that is controlled wherever they are. So it's a question of having the right battle on the right issue, not wasting time on something where almost all schools are already banning mobile.
But that claim collapses when confronted with the facts. Before we go any further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If so, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the major shifts shaping British politics. Now, let's move on. Research from Policy Exchange revealed that only 11% of secondary schools actually implement complete bans. A teacher TAP survey confirmed that although many schools impose partial limits, only a small fraction enforce them consistently throughout lesson time. Meanwhile, every primary school prohibits phones because they understand how harmful they can be. It's in secondary schools, where students remain fixated on their screens, that the real issue persists. And Labour has just voted to allow it to continue.
Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised that the Prime Minister would say this. His own government evidence says that phones disrupt nearly half of GCSE classes every single day. Discipline is the number one issue in many schools. Under the Conservatives, schools became twice as likely to be good or outstanding after going through our behaviour programme. So why did the Education Secretary...
Starmer attempted to steer the discussion away from the issue of mobile phones by shifting focus to Conservative shortcomings.
Mr. Speaker, she talks about the record of the last government. Under their watch, a third of children started school without appropriate level development, and that is not being able to use a knife and fork. A quarter left primary school without the required standard of reading, writing and maths, and 1 in 5 was regularly absent. That's why we're pushing up standards, more information from Ofsted, transparency for parents, more intervention.
That's when Kemi Badenoch fired back, noting that Starmer was avoiding the actual question. Yet, he kept insisting that mobile phones themselves weren't the issue. The real concern, he argued, was the content students' view on them.
We need to concentrate on what's really important here, which is getting to the content that children shouldn't be accessing. That's where I would genuinely like to work across the House, because I think there's a huge amount of...
This is a classic political tactic: redirect the argument toward a broader idea so there's no need to act on the specific issue. It's like refusing to prohibit cigarettes in schools because the real problem is nicotine dependence. That may be true, but it doesn't justify allowing 13-year-olds to smoke in class. The same logic applies to mobile phones. Until content regulation catches up, which could take years, the only practical safeguard is to remove the device entirely from the classroom. Starmer refuses to do that, showing he cares more about appearing intelligent than achieving results. When he struggled to defend his stance, he claimed his perspective as a parent, which isn't a valid justification. Mr. Speaker, it was Labour that introduced academies, he said.
Mr. Speaker, it was Labour that introduced academies. We pushed up standards. And this is not ideological. I'm a parent of 2 teenage children, both of whom go to a state school. So I'm vested in this, and it matters hugely to me. Nothing ideological about it. That is why we're driving up standards, as we always...
That is why we're raising standards, just as we always have. In what was meant to sound sincere but instead felt empty, Starmer tried to shield himself from criticism by reminding everyone he's a parent. But being a parent isn't a policy. It's not a plan. It's not a replacement for leadership. Parents across the UK are calling for stronger school rules. They're demanding discipline, order, and focus. Parenthood should make someone more determined to support a phone ban, not less. The reality is, Starmer had a real chance to bring change. He had a majority, a straightforward bill, and public approval. Yet he chose inaction, and worse, he blocked a measure that could have made an impact. What's your view? Should mobile phones be banned in schools since they distract students? Or do you believe phones are now essential tools, making a ban unnecessary? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which schools would perform better, those enforcing bans or those that allow phones? Want to see more videos like this? If so, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on British politics and the changes shaping it.